Good morning. As my friends, family, and followers will attest, I use the Harvest social media platforms to share the good news and the Three Angels message only. I don't like to post personal information. However, I did have a very interesting conversation with one of my cousins, Jonathan, yesterday, and it has a deep spiritual implication, and I wanted to share that with you. Jonathan's brother Ken, my other cousin, their great-grandmother was a first cousin to my grandmother, and they were both Vances. Ken asked if we were related in any way to Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. My initial response was, I didn't think so, because Vance is a fairly common Irish-English surname. However, most politicians have their family trees available online to view, and so I started to do just a little bit of digging because Ken had piqued my curiosity. As I read through J.D. Vance's genealogy, nothing initially stood out, but then I struck a common connection. My grandmother was Faye Dorothy Vance McDonough. Her father was Arthur Vance. Arthur's father was William Leeper Vance. William's father was Hugh Vance. Hugh's father was William Harvey Vance. William's father was Reverend Abner Alexander Vance, who was a Presbyterian minister and a spy for George Washington in the Continental Army. He was hanged for shooting his daughter's suitor, Lewis Horton, for impregnating her before marriage. Abner was issued a pardon which arrived just after he had been hanged. Abner's parents were Matthew Vance and Jane Jones Vance, and Matthew and Jane were married in Philadelphia in 1746 and were part of what was considered the old Irish families that had immigrated to the colonies, settling in Virginia and then eventually in North Carolina. So what? What's the connection to J.D. Vance, right? Well, Abner Alexander Vance had another son named Richard. Richard's son was named Meekin, and Meekin named his son Meekin Jr. Meekin Jr. named his son Wilbur Lee. Wilbur Lee Vance had a son named James Lee. James Lee had a daughter named Beverly Carroll Vance. Beverly has a son named James Donald Bowen Vance, or J.D. J.D. took his grandfather's name in his 20s. And so this makes the Vice President-elect of the United States of America my sixth cousin, as we share the same fifth great-grandparents and the same sixth great-grandparents. Now, J.D. Vance converted to Catholicism in 2019, and we're explicitly told in the Spirit of Prophecy the following, and I quote, "The Protestants of the United States will be the foremost in stretching their hands across the gulf to grasp the hand of spiritualism. They will reach over the abyss to clasp hands with the Roman power, and under the influence of this threefold union, this country will follow in the steps of Rome in trampling on the rights of conscience." You can find that in The Great Controversy on page 588, and that was written in 1911. We're further told, quote, "The persecution of Protestants by Romanism, by which the religion of Jesus Christ was almost annihilated, will be more than rivaled when Protestantism and Popery are combined." You can find that in Selected Messages, page 387. That was written in 1889. And then we read, "In the last great conflict, in the controversy with Satan, those who are loyal to God will see every earthly support cut off. Because they refuse to break God's law in obedience to earthly powers, they will be forbidden to buy or sell." You can find that in the book The Desire of Ages on page 121 and 122, and that was written in 1898. And then we read, quote, "We shall find that we must let loose of all hands except for the hand of Jesus Christ. Friends will prove treacherous and they will betray us. Relatives, deceived by the enemy, will think they are doing God's service in opposing us and putting forth the utmost efforts to bring us into hard places, hoping we will deny our faith. But we must trust our hand in the hand of Christ amid darkness and peril." Unquote. We read that in the book Maranatha, page 197, written in 1889. While J.D. Vance has no idea that my side of the family even exists, I have seen firsthand how close family can quickly turn on a single person. Blood connections will not save you in the time soon to come. Only your blood connection to Jesus will be your salvation. Hold strong to his hand today. Have a great day.